Welcome to Ready, Set, Real Estate, where we will help empower and educate you on many different aspects of real estate, finance, and investing. Each week, we will expand your knowledge and uncover hidden truths. We will break down real-world scenarios and study actual how-to strategies. Anyone can buy real estate, but together we'll ensure you make smart real estate investment decisions. Now, here's your host, award-winning author, international speaker, and real estate educator, Lisa Gillett.
Buttons. Okay. Mic check, mic check. See, this is what happens when you play with your mic before your show goes on. All right. Make sure you say hi, say hello, press 1 down below. Let me know where you from. We've got a great topic today. We're going to be talking about supplemental property taxes. Supplemental property taxes. Why, Lisa? Why? Let me edit that one. Hold on. Why? Because I oftentimes get phone calls after the deal is done saying, I thought my mortgage was impounded. I thought everything was all together. And it is true. However, the supplemental is not. So we're going to talk about that today. We are going to do this. Hold on, before I do all that, we are going to do this classroom style. So I've got a PowerPoint that I'm going to share today. Let me get that ready. Boom. All right. And then, of course, for those of you who are tuning in on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay. So shout out to those of you who are catching us on the radio podcast. We are 210 episodes strong today. 210 episodes strong today. Doing amazing things. Okay. So, okay, good thing. Good news. So let's see. Let's do announcements. Announcements. Where are you? We are in second quarter. So, right, April, May. This is the last show of May. Oh my gosh, it's May 31st. This is the last show in May. We were to have the reverse mortgage workshop, had to reschedule because my nephew's birthday party happened to be on the same day. So it's okay. We'll reschedule, we'll put it back on the calendar. Thank you for those of you who signed up and registered. Remember, it is free. So if you want to get on the list, if you want to attend any of our workshops, our real estate workshops for our community and local residents, please be sure to visit realestatelife.events. So check out realestatelife.events. Let me update that here. Where is I feel like I've just been away for so long. I can't find anything. Okay, what is this? Okay, so here it is. So check out, register adult real estate classes. Boom. Okay, there it is. realestatelife.event. So make sure you register there. We'll have the latest classes updated. I know some of you have asked for the, distance learning classes, meaning virtually. What we can and will do, we'll go ahead and repurpose the live, because these are live in-person classes. We'll repurpose them for the online. For those of you who can't attend in person, we'll make those available. So yes, if you need to send me an email for whatever reason, because you didn't get the email, you didn't get the link, you definitely can call, text, or email lisa@lasuperaagent.com. lisa@lasuperaagent.com. Okay, so those are announcements. What else? Oh, it's so funny. So I was driving to the office today and I was thinking, gosh, I've got a handful of listings, and it's one thing to put on your vision board, right? So like I have a vision board of how many listings I want per month, how many escrows I want, how many buyer clients that I'll work on or work with. So I have that, right? So I have how many listings, and this is per month, right? So that way you have it in the forefront of your mind when you're working on manifesting this, co-creating this. And this is good stuff for business, right? So I've got it on the board. And as I was coming today, I was like, okay, I've got a couple listings. And I this June I'm going to exceed my goal for monthly listings. And there's one thing that you've got to pay attention with tweaking like your goals. Because isn't it funny how you say you want something and then you get it and then you go, darn it, I wasn't really clear about that. So I'm noticing I have listings. The thing I have to tweak about it is, well, I don't, is it really tweaking? Because I do have closed escrow. So I have like listings and how many escrows per month and how many buyers. So I think I'm good. I'm just being nitpicky about it, I guess, is because I have these land lots and land lots take longer depending where you are. So I have vacant lot listings on the market. I just called the seller over the past week and I said, hey, so I just got a reminder that these the vacant lot listings are coming up to expiration, meaning the contract term we set. So for my clients on the residential side, I'll do 90 days. And for something like a vacant lot or commercial, I'll do 6 months to a year, depending. And so for this, I said, okay, we'll set it for 6 months. We'll see how it goes. Because we did list around like November, December, and I know the market was doing something very interesting, right? You all remember the market was getting a little funky because interest rates were getting higher. And so I called them up and I said, okay, looks like we're at that point. So, what do you want to do? And it's so it just I really appreciate my clients. I really do. 'Cause my clients are like, Lisa, yeah, like how much? How much does it cost? He's like, how much more is it? What's the cost to extend the listing? Don't you love that? Don't you love that? I just okay, so for those of you who are in the real estate industry can appreciate that question or that question. How much does it cost to extend the listing? You know you're doing something right when your client wants to pay you more to extend the listing. All right. So that was what was on top of my mind as I'm working on the goals, working on different things. And I'm just in a space of gratitude with that. Let me turn off all my phones and my pingings. Okay, phones on silence. You too, turn off your stuff, except for my mic. Don't turn off the audio. Turn everything off. So that's goals for me. I would like to, I've been really thinking, you know what? Let me show you what I've done too, by the way. I realize that I actually haven't shared with you all that I have a new ebook. Ta-da! Okay. Announcements. This is announcements. Yeah. I've got a new ebook. Let's see. Can you see the screen? Okay, great. So LASuperagent.com. As we're talking about goals, so I decided to create. So if you go to LASuperagent.com, what it will take you to my link, right? So basically redirects you to all my fun links. But this is what I want to point out to you. See that? Ooh, it's like here. So I've got a new ebook for those of you who are new to the market, for those of you who are in partnerships, considering partnerships, in coupledom, right? I want you to grab this ebook. It's $1.88 and it's Buying a House Won't Fix Your Relationship. Buying a house won't fix your relationship. So grab this ebook here. And the reason being is because you have got to, boom, once you click that link, it takes you here, right? And you'll be able to download the ebook. And listen, these are some top 10, these are some top 5 best tips, best practices that you should go in, right? What is the mindset when you are considering buying a house with a partner? Whatever that is, right? Whatever your partnership is, whether it's an intimate relationship, whether it's, hey, how about you and me go half on a house, not on a baby? You remember that song? How about we go half on a house, not on a baby? Before you do that, there's some things to consider. So grab this little bad girl right here, $1.88. No excuses. LASuperagent.com. It's an ebook. So you will have the option to download it in your Amazon Kindle format, maybe Google Books, whatever the ebook format is in that you select, you'll get that as an easy download. And it's a great point of reference for a conversation that you should have prior to consulting a real estate consultant, advisor, professional, before you get to that table, because then a consultant or a real estate advisor is going to ask you some pretty intimate questions, and you don't want to be caught off guard with those answers where you have to say, I don't know. I don't know. So what am I saying? I'm asking you, I'm inviting you. And if you find this helpful and handy, please share and let somebody know they need to grab this ebook as well. So make sure you grab that ebook. Buying a house won't fix your relationship. You know, I enjoy talking about these topics because everyone wants to talk about how wonderful and perfect it is to home buy and home ownership. However, did you discuss how you're going to split the mortgage? Who's going to pay the utilities? Right? Much less trying to decide who's taking out the trash on Wednesdays or Thursdays, whenever trash pickup is, who's pulling in the bins. Let's get down to the important stuff. All right, you're with me here. Listen, I felt it was timely as we're talking about these goals, these quarterly goals, writing down those goals, having these conversations, and I've invited you to use this little ebook as a handy tool. Okay, very good, very good. So we're back here. This is where you can grab it, LASuperagent.com. Let me drop that in the comments down below. All right, so boom, LASuperagent.com. I've got a whole bunch of cool stuff here. So we're going to take this one out and we're going to replace the date. Of course, if you are interested in selling or buying, investing, or need to just consult with a real estate advisor regarding your unique or special situation, of course, you can complete our client intake form. If you have a question and you want it answered on a live show, you can click it here, right? So submit your questions. If you are an entrepreneur, a consultant, a creative, I've got something here for you as well. For those of you who have signed up for my creative consultation, I'm more than welcome to do follow-ups with you as well. Accountability, just to see where you are with those goals since we last met. And sometimes it can be a lot when you're doing it for the first time. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, getting in business required a lot of this. Yes, it does, until you start to grow and delegate. And of course, links to subscribe to the show. And of course, don't forget that we started with these movements, right? So you may have connected with me from the Real Estate 100 series, which is the first real estate literacy book or genre of books for youth. Mine was the first, and then you started to see the door started to open where more and more people started to create real estate literacy books for the youth and young adults. So thank you for those who have been supporting me since then. I know I've been saying it for a long time, but guess what? I am going to finally release part 3, which is Real Estate 100, the teen and millennial land developer, especially because I'm doing more land development, dealing more with vacant lots. And there's also even the nuances of building up ADUs. So we're starting to see a lot more people jumping into land development, especially if you live in the inner city of any city, right? Of any bustling metropolitan. You start seeing a whole lot of things change, and you might start to explore, well, how do I dabble in that? How do I get my hands on maximizing my land for greater use and return? So, woohoo! All right. So yes, that is coming, and I'm setting a deadline for myself. October. Okay. So remember, remind me that you said, Lisa, because truth is, so I've said this since like last year, right? Like I've been saying this for some time. I've been saying this for some time. And so uh look out for the yeah, I want to share this instead. So look out for it here, okay? Real estate 100. Don't you love this color? I mean, this thing pops. Like these folks know really what to do. I really like this. So this is part 2. Let me see. Boom. All right. I like that better. So look out for this coming October. Of course, we're going to update the cover because your girl got married since the time I've been working and drafting on this book. And certainly no excuses. No excuses. However, the good news is I'm glad I waited because there's a lot more policies that have changed. I get to talk about things like cities who have not cooperated with some of the governor's ordinances to create more housing affordability. And you have some cities that are still on the NIMBY, right? We'll talk about NIMBY, not in my backyard. Let them build housing over there. Let them, put more people over there, not in my backyard. So I enjoy having these conversations with the youth. When we do our youth real estate youth boot camps, we talk about NIMBY. In fact, I give them a critical thinking activity where I split the groups and I say, okay, you're this group that who wants to build affordable housing and we want to pick an area. And then you're the group that doesn't want to you don't want the affordable housing, and then come up with your arguments and your pros and cons as to why you are for it and why you're not. And the things that they have to critical conversations we're hearing now, right? You hear some of the teenagers say, well, I don't want my kids to grow up in an area with, too much people, right? The density is what they're referring to. They associate density with more crimes. They associate the density with more people experiencing poverty and just different things. So it gets really fun and exciting. So I am committing to say that we're going to release this in October. Some of you have been very patient, and I cannot wait. Now that I see this cover again, I'm like, Lisa's doing some amazing things. I've got a lot of things in my back pocket that I have not pulled out. I have not even scratched the surface of the things that I've got going on. So anyway, bringing it back here. Okay. All right. So that is lasuperaagent.com. all the good stuff, classes, books, you get it. I'm here for literacy. I'm here for training. I'm here for you. Got it? I'm here for you. Wonderful. Yes, Lisa, we know you're here for you, for us. You're so wonderful. Thank you so much for all that you do. Okay, we'll be right back after this sponsor break, and stay tuned. Make sure you're ready to take some notes. Make sure you're sharing. Drop a comment, press 1, or excuse me, press 1 lets me know you're here, press 2 lets me know you shared it. We'll be right back after the sponsor break. Shout out to Anthony Lee, co-author of the Investment Blueprint. I know I've got my copy. The question is, do you have yours? Even better, do you have a signed copy? Hold on. Let me bring this back real quick. Do you have a signed copy of Real Estate 100, the Teen and Millennial Investment Blueprint? Here's what I've learned from people who've read this. So this has been read by those who are active investors, and they're like, yep, you all nailed it. It has been read by people who are considering income property, and then they realize, ooh, that's a lot of responsibility. I don't think I want to do that. That is the goal, is to make sure you are informed You're educated so you can make those decisions, so you can make the proper decisions, not relying on Instagram, not relying on TikTok, not relying on your social media advisors, but definitely getting the right information. So I know there are a few good channels out there that are pointing you in the right direction. Some of you have shared those links. Thank you for those of you who are sharing me that some of those TikTok videos, and you're learning and hearing different things. It's always great to double check with an advisor, right? Double check with someone who is experienced and can answer those questions, or at least may not have the answer, but can find out and find the right answer, or give you some resources and or point you in the right direction. Agreed? Agreed. Okay. Let's go here real quick. So, boom, boom, boom. Disclaimer before I jump into that. Okay. So, before I jump into today's episode or today's presentation on what are supplemental property taxes, my name is Lisa Gillett, also known as Super Agent. I am broker owner of Devenio Estates, a boutique firm in Southern California. So what does that mean? I'm an active licensed real estate professional broker. I also am an agent trainer. So that little scroll down there, the lower third scrolling, says I've got experience as a certified pricing advisor, certified and experienced in foreclosures, probates, and working with the seniors real estate, working with the seniors population, which I love, love, love. I have to shout out my client, Miss Barbara. She probably won't ever listen to this show, but it's okay because I love her. I finally spoke with Miss Barbara, and you have people in your life that you're like, oh my gosh, I got to call this person. I got to call this person. And she was one of my seller clients last year that I just became so enamored with. And all of my clients, you all know, clients who become friends. I am so enamored with you because I've got good people. It's a beautiful thing when you connect with people that are like mind, like spirit, like being. And it's just, you just can appreciate the connection even more. Shout out to Miss Inga, who closed on her purchase. Speaking of like mind, like spirit, appreciating the connection. She and I sponsored Jazzism about 5 years ago. We were doing this event, Jazzism, with Bay Entertainment. And fast forward that connection, we just stayed in contact, and we were able to successfully help her with her first purchase. So I just feel all great. I feel all great in here. I feel all great in here. More disclaimers. Okay. So, of course, as we get into the topic on taxes and reassessments and purchasing and financing and all that fun stuff, do know that the information provided on this show should not be considered legal or tax advice, and you should seek legal and tax advice from those reputable licensed professionals. Gabish, gabish. Got it? Good. Okay, you know what to do. Press 1, let me know you're here. Press 2, lets me know you shared it. All right, be sure to like and subscribe as well. All right, let's jump into this here. What are supplemental property taxes? Well, you may say to me, but I've already paid my taxes, Lisa. You told me that my mortgage included my taxes. Yes, I did. I also, if you work with me, know that I've got a little checklist of things that you've got to acknowledge reading for my records. And one of that is called the Supplemental Property Tax Bill. And again, if you work with me and or my team or an agent that I've consulted and or trained or has listened to this show, right? I'm giving you the hints, y'all. You also have received a link to the website to learn more about the Supplemental Property Tax Bill and, in fact, learn how to calculate or get close to a guesstimate, an estimation of what that supplemental property tax bill could be, because it could be a sticker shock. It could be a sticker shock. Okay. We don't want you to get a sticker shock. This is why we're having this conversation. So what is the supplemental property tax bill? It's the supplemental roll, and it provides a mechanism for placing property subject to Proposition 13 to reappraisals due to change in what? Ownership. Change in ownership or completed new construction into immediate effect. So what does that mean? That means you should expect within 3 to 6 months from closing or completing that transfer, you will receive a reassessment of the property value. Here's why this is important. Here is why this is important. Because you could be purchasing a property that was purchased for $100,000. Depending where you are, if you're in California, that could be decades ago. Or if you're purchasing out of, let's say, the greater LA area, because I've got a client that's purchasing rural, and so I was like, man, it's amazing. This is 10,000 square foot lot. The house, I think, is 1,600, and it's 150,000. It's out of area though. So yes, in California, not everything is $1 million. Not everything is 600,000. It depends on what you do, what you're comfortable with, and where you want to live. Okay, so properties are out there. So for example purposes, you purchase a property that the owner, the seller, purchased for example, $100,000. Now it's been 20 years later, and you now are purchasing that property for $700,000. The rule of thumb is that property values double every 10 years. You can check that out with valuations in your area. So you go, okay, this person bought it for 16, 10 years later, it was now 32. And then you have some wild factors with the housing market where you get low interest rates and then it booms, and then you get the pandemic and then it booms. What's going to be the next boom in the next couple years? So think about that. For those of you who've been on the fence and are like, oh, property values are so high, interest rates are so high. Interest rates are pretty sweet right now. Pretty sweet. Because it's created an environment that you can actually win in. Interest rates are pretty sweet because it's created an environment which you can win in. What does that mean? You're going to get a great price. The seller is even willing to kick in money to buy down your rate. There's that, buy down your rate product that they've got out here where it requires seller contribution. So you've got that as a product, as an option. You get great rate. If you are doing something like doing a replacement, you're selling your house to upgrade to something bigger, what a great environment to do that in. Don't be afraid to do it. Just get the right team, get the right answers, and put a plan into play. I'm noticing a lot more of my clients have been calling me now in this quarter and will be calling me now from this quarter till I'll say the end of 2025 to do this. This is a sweet environment. Okay. Hint, hint, hint. My thoughts on what is happening with the market. No, it's not going to tank. If you've been listening to this show, you know why. That's not likely to happen. We've given you all the nuggets, all the real estate gems, right? So with the supplemental roll, what is happening is that change in ownership from you as the buyer, seller to buyer. They paid $100,000, you're paying $700,000. And yes, the government wants their money, right? So it's going to be reassessed based on that difference. There's a difference of $600,000 from when they've been paying property taxes based on, right, that amount, 100,000, to your new price point of 700,000. That's an extreme example as a jump, but we are seeing it. We are seeing it, which is why my husband and I were talking about Proposition 19 for the seniors 55 and older who can port their taxes. port. So I like tax portability because at 55 and you decide that you want to move out of area, you want to downsize, right? You bought a single family home back in the let's say 40s, 50s, 60s, and you want to downsize. House is too big, you want to get something smaller, cozy. You can do that, right? You can do that because your house likely is worth a lot more. You're going to something smaller or a better area, better location. And it's almost doing like a 1031 exchange. But guess what? You get to keep your same property tax rate as when you purchased your first house. Game changer. Somebody tell somebody that they should call me and have their grandparents or parents talk with me about that. Game changer. Okay. So let me bring it back. Change of ownership. That's why there's that reappraisal, is because you've got a difference in the price point. You've got a difference in the valuation that it's almost a recapture. So the reason it's there is to recapture the taxes on it from that difference. Same thing. Let's think about this logic when it comes to land. You purchase land for 10,000, 16,000. My land lots, I've got one for 140,000, 10 acres. I've got one for 61,000 and another for 65,000. Okay, that's land. That's raw land, undeveloped. There's no water connection. You've got to do all that fun stuff. So you pay 60,000 for the land. You build a fixture on it, right? You put a structure on there. Now there's improvement on that land, and yes, it's going to trigger reassessment by way of the supplemental roll, and you're going to get dinged for now the reassessed value and improvement of that land from going from raw land to now you have a structure on that land. Anytime you put a structure on vacant land, it's called an improvement. So you will see a supplemental property tax bill for that. Okay. Then you go, oh my gosh. So I just purchased my first property. It'd be great if that is not how you spell reassessment, but it's okay. For show purposes, a new purchase will trigger this reassessment. New purchase will trigger reassessment. This is what I'm talking about, is you go from purchasing a house, and even when you purchase a flip, the good thing is that supplemental property tax bill from a flip, and let me tell you, investors are they're real sneaky and tricky about this too, because some of them will do purchases and they won't make the payment, right? They won't make the payment on it. They won't make the payment, and they just have everything just paid at close of escrow. So it's one way for them to not be burdened on carrying the costs of that property or all the costs while they're on the market trying to sell it. Okay, cool. Melanie Peters in the building. She says, hi, Lisa. Hi. Make sure you all have let somebody know. Thank you. Melanie knows the rules to get this free game. This free game is to drop, press 1, let me know you're here. Press 2, let me know you shared it. So be mindful when you are preparing to purchase and you're purchasing in a state that has this rule of thumb of a supplemental property tax bill, despite your mortgage being impounded. Melanie says, got to do a replay. Just got on. Cool. The good news here is you didn't miss too much, but I dropped some gems. You know me, right? You know me. No, I got you. I know you got to do a replay. So drop the gems earlier on. We're talking about the good stuff. And I was sharing about, my latest ebook, Buying a House Won't Fix Your Relationship. So with that being said, be mindful if you are purchasing in a state that will require you to pay the supplemental property tax bill. What I was sharing to my point about purchasing from a flipped property, the good news is that the difference won't be too much. For example, supplemental property tax bill on a property that a investor purchased 500,000, he flips it for 7. He maybe put 90,000 in the house, got a sweet profit margin in there. And so you're going to pay the difference, right? Because there's a recapture from what they paid of 500,000, and then based on your purchase price of 7, the recapture is, oh, we got to make up this difference here. The question, the question here is, are there any exemptions? How do you avoid getting dinged with the supplemental property tax bill? I like this guy's face, and he makes me feel good about talking about exemptions. So I was like, let's keep him in the slide here. Because he's like, yo, of course there are exemptions. If you're refinancing, you're transferring the property into a trust, or there's a parent to child transfer. And I put that little asterisk there that there is an exemption to the parent to child transfer as long as the child is occupying it as their primary residence, There could be some nuances in terms of parent to child transfer. You might have transferring it from there could be a parent to child transfer, but then there can be a new conveyance, like there's a lender who is conveying an interest, a security interest in the property. And so the nuances there will kind of make the exemption a little bit funky, because you also have something like a purchase or a new loan that would be triggering a reassessment. Okay. So the good news is that you can check the State Board of Equalization for the exemptions. You can check with the LA County Tax Assessor's Office regarding those exemptions. And it helps to know what you're looking for. When you're paying your property tax bill, do know, especially when you close, do know to expect this supplemental property tax bill. I have clients say, Lisa, we haven't received it yet. Like, is everything okay? I am so glad you're anticipating it, because it can be it can be a couple thousand. I just recently had a client call. He did a transfer. It went from him to his was a parent child, but guess what? There was a new loan that was created in that. So there was a supplemental property tax bill that was for $1,400. And that was from the difference from the amount of what his mother was paying in property taxes. And she had that property for decades, bought it, I think, in the 1940s as well. He is, second generation in having maintained that property within the family. And finally, he was taking care of his trust duties out of that. And in that, he was the next successor heir and trustee. So he used his VA bill to pay off mom's existing mortgage. And with that, it conveyed a new lender or security interest in the property, which triggered that reassessment. Excuse me. The good news is that for him, in his example, $1,400, you get 2 installments. It's divided into 2 installments. And so he pays $700 on the first installment, pays another $700 on the second installment. Good news, right? That is great news. Here's what I want you to know. Even if you have an impound account, because that's where people get frantic. They say, wait, you told me all my property taxes and everything, the property insurance. We talked about this last week, right? What is in your mortgage payment versus what is in the rent payment, and to whom it is paid to. We talked about that. In that conversation, we talked about impounding your mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, homeowners insurance. Supplemental property taxes is not included. Therefore, you are responsible for getting that bill. Late penalties will not be excused on a supplemental property tax bill if you don't pay it. And you're thinking, well, I thought my lender is supposed to pay it. No, they're not getting a copy of the supplemental property tax bill. They do not get a copy of that. They get the annual roll. They get the annual tax roll. So you're responsible for the supplemental. Got it? All right. So let's do this. What does your supplemental tax bill look like? What does it look like? You know me. So I am on the Los Angeles County Property Tax Portal. There's a section here that says Supplemental Secured Property Tax Bill. That's what we're talking about here. And let me change my view real quick. Let me just do it this way. Boom. Okay. So let's make it bigger. So this is 2022. For those of you who may have just purchased, are dealing with reassessments, here's what that supplemental secured property tax bill looks like. So you have the first part. It says what it is. It's the supplemental. It's not the regular annual. It's not the annual. It's the supplemental. It tells you from what period to what period, right? Secured property tax for fiscal year July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. There's a lot of important information here in terms of what you need to pay this online, what are the identifiers, what you're being dinged with, right? What kind of taxes and levies. And we talked about this last week on the show in terms of what levies and how there's a correlation to good schools and, great streets and active street lights and fire departments and different things, hospitals in your community is related to your property taxes. He who has land has a voice. He who has land has a voice. I'm going to zoom in here because I really want to hone in on this section right here. With this section 4 here, I'm referring to general tax levy, voted indebtedness, City of Los Angeles, Unified Schools, Community College, Metro Water District. These are the tax rates. This is the amount. And this is you as a taxpayer's contribution to your community. I've heard people say, this is why voting in local elections are so important. Yes, absolutely. So here you have those identifiers, property identification number, which is the assessor's ID number, also known as the APN, assessor parcel number. They have the detail for the taxes due for. There's your assessor's ID, and it has the number. What this also will have is a PIN. So do pay attention when you're paying online as well. It does ask for a PIN. Pay attention to box number 11 here, special information. It says, for the following reason, the supplemental assessment is in compliance with Article 13A of the California Constitution. California Constitution. It reflects the increase in your property taxes due to change in ownership occurring 12/13/2021. Supplemental bill due to transfer. See, they tell you why. We're dinging you. Why? Because there was a transfer or reassessment. You may ask me, how do they know that? How do they know a transfer occurred? Well, when you complete your transfer paperwork, P Corp being one of them, it's called a preliminary change of ownership form. On that form, it gives you a list of questions that applies. Is this a transfer from parent to child? Is this a transfer from a grantor or a joint tenancy, right? From a joint tenant, is this a transfer to a co-tenant? Is this a transfer to a living trust? To or from? It has a whole list of, it's called a P Corp, PCOR. So it's the P Corp is what is telling the tax assessor's office what event occurred and whether they should reassess the property. That's the important part. It's the P Corp that's cluing them into that. Preliminary change of ownership. The last part is report. That's where you get the R from. But for typing purposes, preliminary change of ownership report. So you've got this nice 2-page document. You complete it, you put the information, you put the price, you indicate whether there was a real estate person involved, you put the agency information, the contact, you sign and date it, and you send it along with the grant deed. You send it along and you have that filed and recorded, and then that's when the assessor's office does their job. So here you have what the supplemental taxes do. In this example, $8,925. Again, that sticker shock, right? Because there's such a drastic difference. Could be a drastic difference from what property taxes that person is paying on, has been paying, versus today's current market value. Good news is you have in first installments, second installment. They're going to divide that payment into two. You want to stay up to date with this, because what happens, and I've seen it, that people don't keep up with the supplemental property taxes. They get confused about it. And now they have what is called a rolling deficiency, meaning your property tax bill is not current. And then what happens after that? We've talked about it on the show. You've guessed it. You get a notice of default for property tax delinquency. And in that, there is verbiage in there that the tax assessor's office says, we have the right to foreclose on your property and auction it for the amount owed. So imagine you owe $8,925 plus penalties and interest over, you wait 5 years, because that's when they will move forward with auctioning off the property. And you have, of course, timelines and deadlines to pay that. It's called the redemption period. In that redemption period, you can make sure you make that payment. By that time, if you wait until the auction date, or there's an auction date set, you do not want to play around with that payment. You want to make sure that payment is received and confirmed, or else your property will be auctioned off with a starting bid of, in this case, $8,000, right? In this case, $8,925. That's where you hear people say they rather buy properties in tax sales. So here you have, they talk about exemptions. So there are exemptions that do apply, like homeowner exemptions, veterans exemptions, disabled exemptions, disability exemptions. You can only have one exemption per property. They apply that, give you some sort of like credit savings. And then here is the voucher bill if you're going to send in that payment. Okay. With that, I'm going to wrap it up, because that was a lot. I'm talking about supplemental property tax bills, but I definitely felt like it was needed, and it was a good reminder as we're coming to June, right? Annual tax rolls coming June, July. We're coming through a new fiscal year. So remember, your property taxes are not billed on a January to December. They're on a June to July fiscal year, which is why, depending when you close escrow, you could either be paying more in those property tax prorations, or you could be paying less in those property tax prorations. It can all make a difference in your closing costs. It can all make a difference what time of the month you close. All that is important. Okay. With that, I say have a fantastic week. We'll see you next week for another information-packed episode on where? You guessed it. Ready, Set, Real Estate. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Ready, Set, Real Estate podcast with Lisa Gillett, the LA Super Agent. Please like, subscribe, and share LA Super Agent